Picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
One shall stand, one shall fall.
Well, good morning. Welcome back. It's another fun week of work ahead, and it's Tuesday. I did not film anything yesterday, and well, let me tell you about my week. I am undergoing the initial planning stages of yet another infrastructure week. I've got stuff I need to move around because I am getting squeezed. I am in a pinch. I am running out of room. If you find yourself in the Raleigh area, I've got some kits I need to get rid of. Please come make me an offer. I'll be happy to set you up. But that out of the way. Yesterday I went to go see Ant-Man, and I enjoyed it very much. Now I have to take a personal point of pride, not that I have anything to do with it, but there was a time about 35 years ago. For a very brief moment, I was Peyton Reed's manager at a North American Video here in Raleigh. He was going to school at State. I think he was finishing up something. He had been in school, and it's been a while. But for a very brief shining moment, Peyton Reed used to work at North American Video up at Mini City. And we would have I remember us having great many sci-fi geeky conversations. And it was back when the first Ant-Man came out. If you go back and look at that, you'll see that the safe that he cracks into at Hank Pym's basement says "Made in Raleigh." I mean, he does not talk down his North Carolina experiences, but I know that at the time that he directed the season finale last year's Mandalorian, that he was in hog heaven because he got to direct Mark Hamill. And I know what a Star Wars fan he was just from his brief time. Like I said, it wasn't all that long, and it was a while ago. But there was a brief shining moment when I remember saying, "Hey, I know that guy. I remember that guy. He was," and I'm glad to see him flourishing. It's a great day for him. And so I went to see Ant-Man yesterday. And then I came back and realized, I hadn't really started on anything. Also, in the back of my head, I'm percolating on an idea that it's going to take a while to come to full flower. I have been asked, and I have been suggested, and I have been pushed that I should do a completely scratch-built thing. And I'm starting to noodle ideas and look at things and starting to gather parts and pieces and seeing what kind of design ideas they spark. And the fact that I can make my own decals, that the lesson that I learned on the Eagle 5, that I can make my own decals, just made that possible. That was like the last step. Is like, even if I could scratch build something, I couldn't put the registry on it because I couldn't make my own decals. Well, that hurdle has been surmounted. So that was one of the clearinghouses. That now that's done, I can look forward to making a scratch build kit. So that's going on in the background. So we've got infrastructure week here at the Aztek temple. I gotta move some stuff around. I got a scratch build that I'm cogitating. So it's been one of those weird weeks. So, and in the midst of all of that, kind of as a guilty pleasure project, I have been building a kit that puts complicated to a new term. It's not something I wanted to necessarily make a video out of because it's an expensive kit, and I hear when people say, "Lou, you build stuff that maybe not everybody has access to," and that's fair. That's a fair criticism, and I take that to heart. I don't choose things that way necessarily. It just works out that way. And I've got a kit now that I'm working on that is expensive. It's about a $200 kit. And I know that might scare off some folks, and rightly so. But when you take a look at, it's a $200 kit, but there's no paint. There's no decal. Well, there's a couple decals. There's no lighting. There's no aftermarket stuff for it. So, when was the last time you built a model and didn't end up putting $200 into it by the time you are getting all of the extra stuff and putting that in. That's not a completely fair statement, and I realized it as soon as I said it. But it's all, the $200 was all in one box. It's done. Everything I need is right here. Plus, it's a subject that I'm just a sucker for. It is, I'll pick it up, and you know a model comes with its own handle. The box comes with its own handle. It's a big deal. This is the kit I am working on. This is the Yolopark Optimus Prime from Bumblebee Earth Mode kit. And I am an absolute sucker for Optimus Prime. In many forms, with the exception of the Michael Bay Optimus Prime. I'm sorry, I just can't get into the Michael Bay Optimus Prime. But many of the other incarnations, I'm a big sucker, particularly Generation 1 Optimus Prime. I am there. And this is probably the best version of Optimus Prime since the first animated movie, not the Michael Bay movies, the animated movie. The design that they used in Bumblebee. Mwah, it is chef's kiss. It is a perfect design. So this is a kit that is based on that. Now, so much of a fan am I of Optimus Prime that I've actually signed up to do a part build. My buddy Wayne Green over at World of Wayne has gotten me hooked on the idea of the part build. And a company called Agora Models is coming out with an Optimus Prime that starts shipping in April. And it's one of those deals where every month you get new parts. And I will be building that on the channel. I don't do near the job that Wayne does with his build videos. So I will probably say, hey, I'm not going to be building it on the video, but I'll say, here's this week's part and here's how it looks, and kind of keep you as maybe do a short update after it's been built, saying here's where we are now, and here's where we are now, and this is, look at this. So it's not going to be a blow for blow build video series like Wayne does, because he's also going to be building it and doing a much better job with that video. So I would suggest that. But we're building Optimus Prime, and it's taken me, I've been doing it on the weekends. Like I said, guilty pleasure. The last 2 or 3 weekends I've been working on it, and I got this much done. This, I don't even want to tell you how many parts in here, because I can't tell you. I don't know. Hundreds of parts making this thing up. But it's a Gundam kit. It is multi movable. It is not transformable. It will never turn into a truck, but it is ultra posable. Let's get you down to the table and I'll show you how much I've got done and how much there is to do. Okay, imagine, if you will, a model where the instructions for building it is a book that is 81 pages long. That is what we're dealing with. I have been working on this for the last couple of 3 weekends, and I still am only up to page 28, starting page 28. All of this was just doing the chest and the head. Now there are 37 sprues, and each of them, each of them have 10 parts on it. Well, it's more than each of them 20 parts on it. That's over 600 pieces. I don't know if they even advertise how many pieces this is made up of. Of course, it's a Japanese kit. It is made from a company called Yolopark. You can find it online. I had to order it from a Gunplush store in South Carolina, or Georgia, sorry. I ordered it from a special store because I don't think even my local hobby shop, who has a ton of Gundam kits, would be carrying this. But like I say, hundreds and hundreds of parts. And so we're never going to do a meet the parts. Forget that noise, because there's a bunch of them. But they do a smart thing. They say, okay, here's the section you're going to be building. Here are all the sprues you need to get out. There are 19 different plates, what they call plates, that you need to pull out, so that you're not rooting through all of them all of the time. And then these are the plates I need for this section. What I've got left to do are both arms and both legs. And if I do one of them a day, if I do an arm today, an arm tomorrow, and a leg Thursday and a leg Friday and get it finished and put together. I had that in the weapons. That would be a gracious amount of an achievement. I will show you. The head took me a good afternoon all by itself, and I'm no slow builder, but to get this done with all of the parts that it took was an afternoon all of itself. Now, I'm kind of jealous because I think if I'm not mistaken, I think the Japanese version of this actually has the eyes light up. I've seen a video online that showed a builder working on this, and he had a little circuit that he popped in there and it lit the eyes up. I don't know if that was aftermarket or whether that's just how the Asian version of this goes, the Japanese version, because I can imagine they would have a problem, shipping it with batteries and all that kind of stuff. But I got the hands done. Each of the fingers is jointed in each of the fingers are jointed, and the thumb, so I can do the thumbs up. I can do all kinds of rude gestures with it. Like I say, this is multi-posable, but it is not transformable. So there's your limitation. So what I'm going to do, we're going to start today. I'm going to pull out the 19 plates that I need to do the left arm. This is the right arm. We're going to do the right arm today. Then we're going to do the left arm tomorrow. And like I said, I don't think I'm going to sit there and run the camera while I'm doing everything. I may stop it at each stage and go from there. Alrighty, I've got the 19 different frames pulled out that I need to work from. I'm going to take these last bits here so you can see how well this goes together. This produces the torso, and then you've got all this kind of posability. We've got an opening case here for the matrix, and you pull that down and we've got a matrix in there. So like I said, there is gigundous amounts of posability in here. So I do that, close that up, and the fact that they don't have to make this transform into a truck trailer or a semi-cab, that means we can get all kinds of mobility and movement and detail on the Prime, on the robot aspect of it. So as you can see, I've cleaned the table, I've scoured the workbench. I only need but one tool. I went out and when I bought this, I also bought a Primo set of nippers that are very sharp, and I'm only going to use for this kit, and it won't be used for stripping wire or anything else. It's nice and clean, very sharp, and purpose made. And then when I need an X-Acto for any little cleanup of parts, I'm going to need a set of tweezers to handle the small stuff. I've got a sanding stick just on the off case. I need to clean a burr, the odd burr. But we're going to move the body off of the table and get to work on this arm. You may be asking yourself, Lou. Well, you won't be asking yourself, Lou. You may be asking me. Lou, if you were going to keep this to yourself, why did you decide to bring it out? And like I said, it's because of the aforementioned infrastructure. This kit, although it's beautiful and the box is huge and the parts are many, when it's built, it doesn't take up all that much room, and that's frankly an important motivating factor right now. I'm gonna have to do a not small amount of. All right, I'm just putting all my A's and B's together now. Not a small amount of shuffling, and this does not, when it's finished, take up a lot of room. So that's why I feel. Plus, I don't have to worry about getting out paints and warming up soldering irons and getting wire out and things like that. Okay, now some of these I have been using when building the other parts, but obviously all the D's are red. Well, it's not obvious, you don't know, but all the D's are red. A, B, F. These will be strewn about. Now that's another A. That's another A. There's a third F. And there's another A. And then these are the 3 C's. But the nice thing about this is pre-painted. You don't have to worry about painting anything. Now, once everything is built, I have a feeling I'm probably gonna want to go over some of the lines with the panel line accent, but that it won't do anything but to help, show off some detail. So let's get started. We're gonna build the infrastructure of the upper arm, and then looks like that's all upper and shoulder. Yeah, because there's the exhaust pipes. And then we build the infrastructure into the elbow joint and then down to the wrists. And this is the hand. I already did that because I could take all of those parts off of one sprue and do it that way. But okay, I think what I'm going to do is once I get down to about here, I'll show you the progress. Alright, we're down to the bottom of the first page. I think that's going to be a good way to break this up. Every time we finish a page, I will turn on the camera. We've got this chunk. Now, here's what takes so long about this model. The illustrations, there are the computer renders of the parts, and especially these all these blackish parts, very dark gray parts. It's tough to see. The printing on it is not all that clear, so you really have to double check, triple check that you're holding your part in the same exact orientation of the way the photo is, or the way the render is in the instructions, and also make sure you have the correct part. Now, that's an obvious thing for any model builder, but when you're dealing with something where the parts are mirror images of each other, like the right arm, left arm type of thing, you need to make sure doubly make sure you've got the right part or the correct part for the right arm. And the last thing I'll say about that is sometimes when you see just an arrow that says, okay, this part goes into that part, doesn't always tell you exactly how it should go into that part. Some of these are obvious and some of them are less so. So when you have something like this, for example, this part, in camera, thank you. This part obviously goes onto here. Yeah, you can figure that out. But this part has 2 options. It can either go in one way or 180 degrees from that. So you really have to concentrate on the photo, making sure you're, and I'm down to the place here where I'm lining everything up, looking at that, doing this, and then placing it on. It's really exacting work. I mean, it's a good result, but it's really exacting work. Okay, I skipped the last page because at the end of that there wasn't really much to show. But at the end of these 2 pages, we now have the recognizable Autobot symbol and the stacks on the right shoulder with the door here. This is going to be fun because I'm going to go in when we're all done and do some of that panel accenting. But we're down to this piece, and we're starting to see some of the exterior body work now. I have a feeling once I turn the page, yep, this is all going to be interior musculature, if you will. This is all going to be the guts of the workings of the arm itself. So it's a lot of gray and a lot of black, so it's going to be fun. None of this bright red color stuff to play with. Okay, those were some fiddly times, but I've got these 2 pages put together and it gets you all of that. Lots of mobility, lots of moving parts, lots of joints, lots of things that can go bump in the night. And of course the fun part is knowing I'm going to do this all over again for the other arm. But I'm presuming that is our elbow joint right there. Again, down to this page, And then we can start. Looks like we're working on some body pieces again, not internal pieces. I'm presuming that this is going to fit on here, something like that, even though we've not been asked to do that yet. So we'll set these two big chunks aside, and we start working on what looks like the lower arm. Yeah, that looks like the lower arm, and I'm going to take a break. It's lunchtime, and we'll come back at this a little bit later. Alrighty, I'm back from lunch, renewed, reinvigorated, rested, ready to go, and it looks like we are going to be tackling a whole new section of this arm that we will be attaching to the bit we've got done. So let's put the shoulder chunk, and it looks like this looks like the bicep, if you ask me. Maybe not. Maybe I've got that wrong. But we're going to set that off to the side and start on this new chunk and see how it goes. Going to do these 2 pages, then I'll show you the progress. Okay, we're getting there on this arm. We've got, looks like the lower arm mostly controlled here. We've got all these joints working in unison here to allow for the... now, the more pieces you add to this, the more substantial all the joints become and the less delicate everything is. But we can really start to see what's happening here with all of these double and triple jointed parts. Something like this that slides in and out just to end up going back. We've got a few more parts to put on the lower, and then we'll be ready to... The next thing you see, the whole arm will be ready to go, and put the hand on it and it'll be done. Alrighty, we've got a finished right arm here. I present to you a Prime arm. Hand is on. There's your elbow. There's your wrist. All of the fingers. The extending elbow joint. I gotta tell you, this elbow joint looks a bit wimpy. I'm wondering if there isn't something that goes on there at a little later date, but mostly it's looking good. Of course, this is the inside. This goes against the torso. We've not been told to do that yet, so I'm not going to, but it looks like there... I would be putting another elbow plate on there, but we'll have to see what comes of that. And that's going to finish today's work. I know that tomorrow is just going to be a repeat of the same, only with the other arm. So I don't know what exactly I can do to jazz that up. Maybe I'll add one of the weapons or something, and that'll break it up a little bit. But let me go get the torso, and we'll see what this looks like together. Even though I'm not going to put it together, but we'll see how it looks. And here is Prime with the arm next to him. Goes on something like that. Awfully tempting to go ahead and just put that on, but I have a feeling there's a reason we've been asked not to do that, so, or not been asked to do it. But just look at the amount of greebly detail that's in there. Some of that's just flat amazing. And I'm sure it all makes sense to somebody. Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday. I started early, and I'm about halfway done with the left arm. Now, it's going a lot easier this time, and I don't know if it is because I've already done this yesterday, and I'm familiar with the parts, or because I am naturally left-handed, and the illustrations here are making so much more sense than the right-handed version. The views that they have chosen, I don't know. It could be a little of both, but if you're having a similar problem with your kit, or any Gundam kit like this, it might behoove you to go ahead and look at the opposite arm, because it'll give you the other side view of the parts that you're looking at, and maybe that'll help you. I found this much more intuitive to do this arm than I did the last one. I could have put all the arms away and started with a leg to do something different, But this does two things for me, doing the other arm. A, I already have all of the trees out here that I need to have, or what they're calling the plates. I already have them all out and ready to go. Plus, as I am finishing or taking the last parts off of these plates, I can chuck the sprue out, and which means I have a much cleaner workspace. Once I finish the arm, I will be done with all of the red plastic, for example, because Prime has all of his red is in his chest and arms, and then all of the blue plastic is in his head and legs. So I know that I am going to be done with all the red, and I can just chuck all the red trees. Now, going along, and for example, this joint here, which gave me such fits yesterday, it works so much better today, and I have to think that it is because it is the left-handed one. But everything is working better today, and I'm going to pick this back up after I finish this arm. Now, it does mean I'll probably start on the legs right away, and just start working on that. Which, if all goes well, maybe I'll have time to do some of the detailing work this week, and maybe, just maybe, I might find a way to stick a light in his eyes. That might be something. I just saw an example online, a gentleman who's building this same kit, and he lit up the eyes. So I'm thinking it must be possible. So we're going to see. Okay, so here's a funny thing. funny, I might cry, not funny, haha. I'm cleaning up. Oh, I finished up the left arm, by the way. Left arm finished. I am cleaning up sprues, and what I do is I normally I'll find a sprue that has a big gap in it, and I'll just snip away all of the sprue and leave the parts that I'm left with. And remember when I was saying I should be done with all of the red now? So I'm going through and cleaning out the red sprues, seeing if there are any parts left on it. Guess what I found? I found sprues with parts left on it, and they are spinal parts. They are parts that go right in here that I forgot to put in completely. So guess what I'm going to have to do? I'm going to have to disassemble most of this. I'm going to have to disassemble most of the chest, the torso, so that I can sneak these three pieces back in where they're supposed to be. And they are two of these red spinal covers and one gray one. So I was obviously not being as careful as I should have been the first time around, and I forgot to put these three pieces in this area where they're supposed to go. So I have got to, before I start on the legs, which that's all I have left, I need to clean all of this up and basically disassemble most of this to get back to there, because where that is, I traced them back to part 2, number 40. Part 2, number 40. Now, for your edification, that is part 2 of the torso. That is not part 2 of trust me, it's on page 18, and we are up to let's see. That's back on page 18, and we have just finished everything up to page 47. So I've got to go back about 30 pages and rebuild this. So I think what I need to do is take the end of the torso section and just start working everything backwards from that point. I can disassemble the hips. I've done that. The hips I've taken those off. And what I can do is go through basically everything and just work my way backwards and take the sub-assemblies apart, starting with, because I don't know for sure. See, I don't know what I'm going to have to do to get to that, whether I can just take the back chunks off or whether I'm going to have to take everything off leading up to because these parts are so interlocking that the one part that's covering the part that I need to get to is something that needs to be removed from an earlier stage. So I think we're going to start with the doors, which I guess is good on your, as a viewer, that's good for you, because now you get to see me putting the whole chest back together, the whole torso back together. So, I need a stiff drink, and I think I'll start with coffee, and clean out, or get the arms off of the table, because I don't need those yet. We'll get the head and the hips off of the table, because we don't need those in the way. And all of the sprues that are left out here are parts that belong to the legs, which we will get to eventually. So let me get the operating table ready, and we can lay out the open matrix surgery that we've got to get ready to do. Okay, I think I have eliminated or removed enough parts over here that I have a clean spinal column to work on. So I will go back to page 18 and try to add the parts that I should have added the first time. The nice thing is this is also helping me to see how these other parts are relating to each other, and actually I can get in behind some stuff now and press them closer together and make sure the pins are inside the proper slots and all that kind of stuff that I was missing the first time around. Like, I'm just noticing these two were never put. Well, see, I can just pull them right out. I can put them back together more properly next time. Okay, so let me delve into the spinal surgery and I'll be right back. Success, the patient lived. The spinal column surgery went well. It only took about, I don't know, an hour, 90 minutes. But all of the parts are in and aligned like they should be. My chiropractor would be proud of me. But all of that is done. I can go back to where I was. Way up here, starting on the feet, way up here, starting on the leg. Let's put this aside with the both of the arms, the hips and the head, and we will start on the legs. Okay, I hope you'll pardon the noise, but I'm getting ready to start on the legs, and I was pulling out the sheet to see which plates I would need, and I realized, you stupid idiot, you're gonna need everything. Everything that's left is legs, with the exception of the ones that have the weapons on it, which were H's. They are the H plates, so I just pulled those three out, stuck them back in the box, because everything that's left is gonna be made out of everything that's left, including the tires and the springs. So let's get on to these. Let's get on to the right leg. Alrighty, I want to take advantage of a nice break in the plotting to catch you up on the leg. This is still the right leg, and that's all of the inner mechanisms. Boy, look at that. Talk about your complicated. But that gives you your... let me see. I think it's supposed to give you a more than 90-degree bend. This being the knee. Yeah. You can see where this is pulling up. They might have to have more of the leg plates around it to make it, to give me the leverage that I want. But that's where it goes into the hip. Yeah, I can see that this other knee joint wanting to go, but I think we need to have more attached to the foot to make it happen. That's it, standing straight up. So now we're getting ready to do the iconic little flaps that happen on the front of the legs, and that could be a good place to take a bit of a break. Now we are, after that happens, we put the wheels on it. We haven't even started building the foot yet. Man, this is going to be involved. Well, I'm glad I got to start on it today. Alrighty, here is the finished right leg. Now, I have not gotten the foot, have not even gotten a start on the foot. This is just the leg. And man, I don't know about you, but I'm tired. This took me a good chunk of today. Now, if I had not had to spend 90 minutes fixing my own mistake on the spinal column. This little piece, I'm going to end up gluing you in. I know I am. This piece always wants to jump out. Had I not spent that time fixing the spine, I might go ahead and do that foot today, but I'm tired. This is fiddly brain work, and it does not go very easily. So, oh, come on. So what I'm going to do is call it a day on this, and I should be able to get the other leg and both feet done tomorrow if I don't have to back up and fix any more mistakes. And that'll still get me in good shape. I mean, it's Tuesday is it Tuesday today? No, it's Wednesday today. Yeah, it's Wednesday today, and it gives me Thursday to finish up both feet and the other leg, and then Friday to do any painting or lighting or accenting. That I'm going to take. Let me try this just as a. Oh, see, look what I did. I'm starting a whole. I just want to see what this panel accent stuff is going to do to a typical piece of detail. What do you think? I think that'll work just fine. I might need to go over it twice, but we've got all these little screw heads and things like this that I can fill in. Might need to take a Q-tip here. Just dab it off to see. That's on that silver. What does it look like on the gray? Not that noticeable on the gray, to tell you the truth. So, maybe we won't end up doing that. Maybe we just won't end up doing that. Don't have to. No reason to if we don't need to. But yeah, I've got an order to be working on, and like I said, I give myself a headache for staring at this stuff too much. So we're gonna come back and hit this again tomorrow. Welcome back, everybody. It's Thursday. It's the gateway to the weekend. It's one of those days. I have got like 19 irons in the fire today, and I'm running around like a little madman. In between working on Prime, I'm also getting an order out. I am also taking care of a couple of other things. So I've been stepping in between plotting and printing, and I'll go through a couple stages, and then I'll go back out in the other room and package up orders and things like that. So it's been one of those. I'm glad I got an early start of it. I've got the good chunk of the left leg done, and it is going pretty quickly, knowing that I did it yesterday. So let's catch up. I have, like I said, the inner structure of the left leg with the multiple jointed knee in place. I have got the sprues trimmed down to where I only have the parts, or the bits left that I need. So let's go on to the next bit, which is these fans in the, well, what are you doing with the camera way up there? It is, sorry about that. It is this part that has all of these fan bits in it that go on the front of the legs. So I don't know why I had the camera up there. That's how this day has been going. So let's get on with it. Alrighty, so we're winding down at the end of a Thursday, and boy, I could use a breather after today. It's been answering emails and looking at files, and it's one of those days. Well, we are almost done. We've got everything down to the left foot. We can do my left foot tomorrow, starring Daniel Day Optimus Prime. But that is all that's left. And then, oh, sorry, we got the left foot, and then we have the weapons, which is his big blaster and his axe, which I don't expect them to take more than a few minutes apiece. So we'll finish this up easily tomorrow, and then we'll see if there's any time to do any accent painting and or lighting on it. So good night for now, and see you again in the morning. Good morning, everybody. It's Friday. It's the last work day of the week. It'll be the last work day on Optimus Prime here. It's going really, really quickly now because we're down to the last foot. And one of the benefits of pruning the trees, as it were, as you are finishing at the end of the day, is that it makes the remaining parts easier to find. Not only because they're the only parts left, but because the trees themselves are easier to handle. So what we've got here is all that remains of the parts that we need. I've got the right leg, I've got the left leg, I'm working on the left foot right now, and we'll be done. These little bits here are the weapons, and that's going to be, you know, maybe 10-15 minutes worth of work. That's not tough at all. And then we're going to decide what kind of painting we're going to do on this. Are we going to do any painting? I'm thinking that I might want to do some chrome accents with a Molotow pen. The black wash, Gundam wash, wasn't as effective as I was hoping it was going to be, but we'll try it out on... It wasn't effective on the silver parts. We'll see how it works on the red and the blue parts, but it wasn't as effective on the silver as I'd like. So we're going to see what needs to be done on that. We're going to see what needs to be painted on the weapons, because they could stand maybe to have the most attention paid to them. Like I said, there's what's remaining. Here is the box of sprue of what we've gone through so far. And I'm looking forward to chucking that whole box out. It's a beautiful box, and I've gotten to the age in life, or the stage in life, where I can look at something and say, you know, that's a nice box, and not be ironic about it. That's a nice cardboard box. I'd hate to throw it out, but you just got to. There's just no room to keep everything. I make it a rule not to keep the packaged things come in. If I'm going to take it out of the packaging is going, unless there's just some beautiful piece of artwork on it, and then maybe I'll cut that panel out and keep it. But the rest of it's got to go. You just can't keep everything in its box. So we're going to finish the foot. We're going to do the weapons, and then we're going to start to play. Now, years ago, I picked some of these up, and they are tiny, tiny little LEDs that have two little button batteries on it to run it. And I'm wondering if something like that couldn't be repurposed to make Prime's eyes light up, because there is a surprising amount of empty space in Prime's head, and I don't mean for him to take that personally. I think, and maybe in some areas of the planet, there's a circuit board that's supposed to go in there. I just don't think that they sent them to the United States because of that whole shipping battery bit. But I bet you there's if I looked, I would find there's a circuit board to go in there. But we don't have that. So what I have is a tiny LED with two tiny batteries. If I can find a way, I could put that in his head and be done with it. But making it switchable is the problem. Making it so that I can access it from the back, because, you know, as often as I would like that, and as often as I would need to change that battery, I could take his head off and do the deconstruction for that. But I do need to be able to run whatever I do out to a switch. So that's going to occupy a lot of my mind after we get the rest of this done. So let's hurry up and get through the rest of the foot. And it is hot as blazes in here today. Yesterday was outside, it was like 85. And I know some people are having storms and snow and all of that, but around here it was bloody warm. So that's also slowing me down a bit. Whew. February was supposed to be cold out. I was planning on doing all these wintertime projects. We didn't get a wintertime. So those projects are just stacking up. So let me finish this foot. Okay, now we're coming to the point where we're going to do some major construction here. Now it says, oh, put point here into there, and it looks simple on the page, and it is mostly simple once you do it in practice, but it really helps if you take off a couple of these outer pieces. This piece that has the ball joint on it is excellent because having that ball joint makes it easy to remove, but it also gives it the most range of posability. But it is a lot easier if you remove those particular plates, or at least fold them up out of the way before you just try to push that old leg on there. So there, Prime is now up on his own 2 feet. Now you'll pardon him for being headless still, but I'm going to be working on that. Let's do these weird shoulder joints. Let's see, F2, and these are the only 4 pieces that are remaining. So that's 24. I guess these would be look like disc brakes. I'll tell you, the making that Maria kit really teaches you how to deal with these side, I guess these are called overmounts. I don't know the technical term for it, but the way that the sides, the part that attaches to the sprue sits on top of the part instead of butting up to the edge of the part, and you really have to have these really nice sprue cutters to kind of shave those off. But I was glad to have that little bit of experience before working with this, because this really gives it a workout. Okay, that goes like that. Okay. Well, let me get these parts in. Okay, so after a little bit of reworking on those shoulders, I was trying to put those 2 parts together and was missing the fact that the symbol says use one or the other. I was trying to figure out how they went together. I don't know why they even give you the option, because one looks like half a disc brake and the other looks like a full disc brake, and I really don't see what one buys you that the other one doesn't. So this is Prime ready to go, and I also found it was easier to take him apart top and bottom simply to work on these areas. It's very cumbersome to work on him as a total figure when all you need, it comes apart so easily. Why wouldn't you just isolate the top torso while you're working on it? Okay, so these are all of the head parts, and before I get too far into that, I want to go ahead and put the weapons together. So that's all of page 76. Whew. And now we're working on the weapons. So I'm just going to stand Prime over here and pull out these trees from the weapons. Alrighty, we got Prime in his big FG and his comically large axe. I don't know about you, but I prefer the old G1 Energon axe that became his left hand. It just was a big glowing orange axe that came out of his hand. So I mean, it's nice and all, and it looks good if he's, you know, standing with it. If he's posed with the axe, it looks nice. But I don't know how many times I'm going to attach it to his hand. Let's see, let's turn that. There you go. It's very, very posable, I'll give you that. Sometimes frighteningly so, and sometimes it is unnecessarily so. I mean, you can make all of these wonderful poses and take pictures of them in the superhero landing and all of that kind of stuff. But it does make him a little yeezy when he is standing on a shelf by himself. Now, it occurred to me, I was doing some touch-up painting with the Molotow, just like putting in the crossbars on the windshield wipers and just picking out an accent here or there that I wanted to chrome up. And then I did some of the wash work with the accent panel line and did some detail bringing out with that, and I had to make sure, because I'm so anal retentive, that if I did something on one arm, that I immediately went over to the other arm and did it so it's symmetrical. But it struck me in all of that I don't think we've ever been asked to put the decals down. They're certainly on the finished part, but let me pick up one. See, let me see if they're there. Like, I know on the lower arm there is these. There are these. The yellow accents. These guys that go on the arms. I don't think we have ever been specifically asked to put those down. I'm looking on the final picture. There it is. But where is the placement guide for that? So let's go ahead and do those, because that's the last finishing bit that we've got. I don't see a... I'll check the box itself, the outer box, but I don't see any specific, hey kids, now that you're done, let's put the decals down. And really, we don't need to put the... Oh, I bet you I know why. See, there's two sets of these Autobot insignias. One that are red and one that's just a white outline. I'm wondering if they expect some poor simp out there to actually have painted all of that red, and they want to put decals over top of what they've painted. That could be that could well be the case, but I'm not going to paint my red plastic. It certainly doesn't need it. I'm seeing that the outside of the box does show decals in place, but it does not show a specific decal placement guide. Okay, well, we'll go ahead and put the reds that go here, or the yellow bits that go here and here. We've been given two different versions of those. I guess one of them is how he looks on Cybertron, and the other one's how he looks on Earth. But I'm going to use the Earth version, since that's where, you know, we currently are living. So let's go ahead and put those down on each of the forearms, or the wrists actually. They're closer down to where the wrists are. I just dip some in some quick dippy here in the water and set it out here on the paper towel. But that's strange that there has been no mention of that. It's also strange that there's no yellow in his waist or in his belt area. Now, I know that maybe that's perhaps a earthly convention once he becomes a semi-trailer or semi-truck cab, but I always miss that little bit of that little spot of yellow accenting there. Okay, let's take care of that. I'm wondering if I should go through and try to put a black wash on the details on the stacks there. That's a natural area for a black wash to want to gravitate to. I tell you, there's one joint in all of this that I really don't like, and has become more of a problem, and I'm wondering if I shouldn't just go ahead and glue that sucker down at that point. It's where the outer plates of the shoulder, it's where they attach to the arm. See what happens? I don't like that. I think we're going to end up gluing just that joint together, just between those two right there. Let's go ahead and do that. The other one seems to be hanging in okay, but let's get these decals down first. There's one. These are some superior decals, I gotta tell you. I love the quality of those. Just right there on the wrist. No, I did not gloss underneath these. Maybe I should have, but I didn't. Hoping that the plastic is glossy enough. Oh, I like what's happening there. I splashed a little bit of the black accent panel inside there, and it's gone and migrated out along the rest of all of that paneling. Ooh, I like that. Let me see if I can, you know, these parts might be easier to paint if I do some sub disassembling. I think that might be a little bit easier to work with if I was going to paint in any sort of details, to do them sectionally. Yeah, I think working on that sectionally will help. Okay, I love this look, but I've got to make sure I don't go overboard on it. What I'm basically doing is just taking some of this, one of my favorite chromes, which is the Model Air Chrome. I don't use it in the airbrush, but use it as a gray or a silver accenting, like the paint has been scraped up, and it's just picking out all of these beautiful contrasting details in the mechanics here. Yeah, I think that as long as I don't overdo it, I think that's going to help me a lot, because it makes it look like the paint has been scraped. It brings out the detail in the dark recesses, but it also makes the red paint look like it's been scratched up a bit. Just want to be very sparing with it. Hitting the leading edges of it just a bit like that. Just the tiniest. Okay, just the wearing edges. Okay, mission painting has overtaken mission lighting. So, you know, because most of the times he's going to be standing on a shelf, he's not going to be lit up, but he's going to be painted. So what I'm doing is I'm just making sure that my weathering is consistent, and then I'll flip this over, and I flip this over, and I make sure it doesn't have to be spot for spot, but I want to make sure that the wear layer or level of wear is consistent on both arms. Now, let's set these aside. Actually, I think what I need to do is take a grunge coat of the oil next. I'm not sure. I'm not going to put any rust on them, because Prime would not he would not condone rust. So I'm not going to put any rust on there, but I will do some oil spills. That's what this is called. This is called. Let's find it. It's something fancy. That's the black wash, but they call it petrol spills. And maybe that's what I need to do. So we'll do that, put those aside, and then do the legs, and then work our way back up the chest. Alrighty, we're winding down on a Friday afternoon, getting ready to draw the curtain on our Optimus Prime build. And I have to tell you, I forewent, I guess that's the right word. I axed the idea of putting lights in the eyes, not because I couldn't do it, but because I got more interested in painting than I did in the lighting up of the eyes. Now I'm just finishing up here. I took a little bit of liberty. I painted the matrix with clear orange over top of the silver to give it a kind of a goldish look, and that goes back in the chest here. Now it also helps it stand out some from the rest of the chest, like that. And now we can close that back up, close the doors over top of it, and now you can see it a little bit better when the cab doors are closed. There. I went over the X. I didn't like the color that it came with, so I went over it with orange clear, just to kind of call back that orange Energon Classic G1 version. So now I'm ready to do some final construction and get everything back together. Like I said, I do want to make this one joint up in glue so that I don't have to keep worrying about this falling off. So let me glue those in, and then we'll be ready to piece them back together, which takes like 2 seconds, and we'll be done. And here's the finished Yolopark Earth Mode Optimus Prime. Now, I did this specifically to showcase something that most action figures don't do. The ability to lean forward. Look at that pose. Most importantly, look at all that detail on the spine. That all functions. And then when you straighten it back up, it all sucks back into itself and goes back into its appropriate pocket. It's a feat of wonderment here. So I am going to, let me see, I don't want to, manhandle this just for the sake of manhandling, but I want to, let's see if I did something like this, just to show the pose that's on the front of the instruction book. Looks like something like that. Now, of course, you need to go in and adjust every little bit of this once you're set. But you could do your own stop motion with this if you really wanted to. It is that articulated, and the joints do stay. See if I can put the note. To use the gun, I have to do this. I have to open this up. I have to pull this piece out of the back, because that's the piece, and close that back up again. That's the piece that gets stuck in his hand, and there goes the phone. And then here he is holding his BFG. Now, there are many more poses you can make this guy take, all the way down to going down on the knee. Let's show you how articulate the knee joints are. These joints are more articulate than a Harvard professor on a weekend bender. But just something like that. You could even do the keep on trucking pose. Huh. I'm going to do the keep on trucking pose. Keep on priming. The only weak joint, and I'll tell you, the only weak joint that you have to be on your guard about is the hip joint, because that's a metal shaft inside of the pelvis ring, and if you're not careful, you can pop that thing right out. But that is the Yolopark Prime. This is the plastic model Earth Mode Optimus Prime as he looks in the Bumblebee movie. Still the best version of the Generation 1 design I have seen since, obviously, Generation 1. And that, dear friends, is how we're going to end this week with this lovely gentleman. Look at that. Now, like I said, this fulfills two very basic needs for me. A, it's a Prime kit. I love Optimus Prime. And B, it don't take up a lot of room when it's done. So that was, believe it or not, a more important prerequisite than you might believe, because I'm running out of space here, kids. It is, display space is the final frontier. So until next week, when God knows what we'll be doing, because I gotta start working small. Y'all be good, be safe, be smart. Tell all our one. See you next week.